Yo, what's going on everyone? It's Brian and Jim from DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, and today we're going to be checking out Blades of Steel for the NES.
This was developed and published by Konami, which, back in the late 80s, meant quality. Unlike today, I'm looking at you, last 4 Silent Hill games.
But Jim, Konami usually gives me a boner.
Did 45 minutes of Metal Gear Solid 5 give you a boner?
Maybe.
You're the problem. Anyway, this was originally an arcade game. It came out in 1987. 1988, it got ported to the Famicom Disk System and the NES. And then after that, it came out on all kinds of crazy shit. A lot of really more of the home computer video game consoles like the Amiga, the Commodore 64, hell, even DOS, even the Game Boy. And like everything else, eventually to Wii's Virtual Console. Now, this is probably one of the most beloved sports titles in the history of the NES, and we're going to tell you why.
Alright, so graphically, this game is actually slightly above average. I enjoyed it a little more than Jim, but it's really nothing too great. It's pretty simplistic in its take, and unlike the ice hockey game we reviewed last week, each sprite looks exactly the same, and that game went for a more cartoony feel, whereas Blades of Steel, it goes for that more natural, human-looking sprite. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of good little animations when you score goals, and we love the little fight cutscene. One nice thing we did notice is that your selected player will be highlighted. Now, to some, this might be an eyesore, but to us, anything in sports games, especially the early NES games that indicates who you are, is a big help. So that really helped it push it right above average. So as you can see, I gave it a 6, Jim gave it a 5, and as far as the beer requirement meter's going, I'm only going to add 1 beer. I really like this title.
So, I know what you're thinking. If I told you a Konami game in the late 80s on the NES had great sound, you'd call me crazy. And yes, I agree with you. Alright, I'm just fucking with you. We all know it's going to be great. There's digitized voice in the game. It actually comes through pretty clear, and it's really impressive for the time. The music, it's good. There's, lots of tunes that you get. Lots of little sounds for when you make goals, when you score, intermissions, all kinds of crap. There's little chip tunes. There's never really just a song that's going all throughout. Sound effects. Sound effects out the ass. You have sound effects when you pass, when you shoot, when you block. The crowd has multiple different sounds. You have sounds for damn near everything in the game. You have sounds for fights. It just keeps going on, and it's just really impressive. There's not a lot to say here. It's definitely above average. We liked it a lot. Brian gave it an 8. I gave it a 7. There's not a lot that you can really take away points from here. And let's add 1 beer. You don't need a lot to enjoy this game at all.
So in talking about the control in a Konami game, you know you got some quality here. This is one of those games that you can pick up whether you're a hockey fan or not, and you could actually be pretty decent at it. The control is real intuitive, the passing is real obvious, and once again, you do have just a slap shot, but this time it feels a little more smooth and a little faster. The only real gripe we did have with this game is the fact that once again, you have your goalie tied to whatever highlighted player you're playing as. It's not as bad as in ice hockey, but it can still be a little bit annoying, so it definitely isn't perfect. Other than that, we really enjoyed it. I gave it an 8 and Jim gave it a 7. As far as the beer requirement meters go, I'm going to add 2 beers just because of that goalie mechanic. It can get a little annoying, and the fact that I can't do any sweet wristers. Damn it! Wristers.
My bit. Alright, the gameplay.
Jim, don't talk about the wristers because there aren't any. You can talk about D to D.
Hold on, I'm going to take a drink while he finishes. There's also no one-timers. Anyway, the gameplay. It's hockey. You get 5-on-5 games, just like in real hockey. You get 8 different teams, which is cool, and they all represent different cities because it's not licensed by the NHL itself, or the NHLPA, so you don't have player names. But the game, Brian already talked about it, the game controls well, so that gives it a fun factor. You have exhibition and tournament modes. The games, there's some penalties in them, but they don't happen that often. There's fighting, which switches to a 2D side view, which is good. The control for the fightings, it's a little unintuitive, but it doesn't take long to get used to.
He's just saying that because I whooped his ass.
Beyond the point. Overall, it's just a really solid hockey game. There's not much more to go into about that. When you have a tie game, you go into basically how it is in hockey today. You go into, 5-on-5 shootouts, and if it's tied, it goes to golden rule. We both love the game. We gave it 8s. It's just a really fun, really solid sports title. And maybe the lack of more creative play modes took away a few of the scores, but if you want a hockey game, it's tough to find something better than this. Real creative, but 1 beer because, you know what? No, let's make that 2 beers. 2 beers for 2 game modes. Ha!
Now, when considering the originality of this game, you have to remember, although this is the second title to come out on the NES, it did come out the same exact year as Ice Hockey. It's still one of the first hockey games for the NES, and it did improve over some of the mechanics that Ice Hockey had. As Jim already stated, you have a nice 2D pop-up window where you had the actual fights take place as opposed to just the random shit that was in Ice Hockey. You also have the highlighted characters, you have the multiple teams, so there are some things here that are a little more original than Ice Hockey was, and like we said, it's still a newer game, so we couldn't help but both give it 8s. I'm only going to add 1 more beer. Let me think. Good reason to add a beer. Maybe because all the goddamn sprites look the same, and they don't let you do wristers!
Alright, if you follow our page at all, you know that when it comes to sports games that we like, they're automatically going to get some decent scores for replayability. This is no different. I'm going to keep this short. We both gave it 7s. It's a very fun hockey game that you can play again and again, and you won't get tired of it. I'll add 1 beer just because...
Beer is good.
Yes, beer is very good. We enjoy beer, and we like to talk about it. Also while playing games. You should check out our website at DrinkABeerandPlayAGame.com.
Wristers.
I hate him with the fire of 1,000 suns.
Listen, overall, I know you're going to be shocked. We really had a lot of fun with this game. Since we won't be doing an obvious top 5 or top 10 hockey games list for the NES, there's only 4 NES hockey titles that we know of, we're just going to say it right now. This is the best NES hockey game there is. Don't waste your time with any of the others. Ice Hockey's not bad, but just honestly, get yourself a copy of Blades of Steel.
It's all downhill from here. Fuck! It's all downhill from here, folks.
This game just put a high-ass standard on sports games for the NES, and a lot of our friends we talk to still like to play it to this day, and we understand why. It's just that simple fun that games like Tecmo Super Bowl or Baseball Simulator 1000 really captured. It's an awesome game. We can't recommend it enough. And as you see from our scores, I gave it an 8, Jim gave it a 7. He only gave it a 7 because he felt like a slapped ass after I whooped that ass twice in fights.
Maybe if I can do one-timers.
Wristers. So when we were considering which beer to pair with such an awesome game, we wanted to make sure it's something that tastes good, but didn't take you away from the actual gameplay. So we're going with the Evil Genius Forsaken Hoppy Amber Ale. We really like this beer. It's an easy drinking beer. It's got a good enough amount of flavor to just complement your game. And trust me, when you're playing Blades of Steel, between every goal and in between periods, you're going to be drinking a lot. So you need something that goes down smooth. And this beer gets the job done very well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching our video. Be sure to share it with your friends if you enjoyed it. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up. Till next week, guys. Cheers.